shower package. That's 1-800-731-4558 for a free no-obligation consultation and to save $1,600. Safe Step walk-in tubs. Safety never felt so good.
This is Paul Feinbaum. That'll do it for me today. Coming up next, The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Tom Luganville here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold-certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
It's freezer season at Owen Home Appliance Center. So if rising temps have that freezer on its last leg, check out the name brand frost-free upright and chest freezers. Best of all, Owen Home Appliance has them in stock and ready to go or have delivered. Don't let all that high-dollar food go to waste. Go to Owen Home Appliance Center and get that new freezer. And while supplies last, get a $50 gift card towards the purchase of Wagyu beef when you purchase a freezer. Owen Home Appliance Center. Quality products, quality pricing, quality service. It's in the name.
Looking for your next game day party destination? Well, think outside the box and kick back at Flosa Premier. And you may be thinking, isn't that the trampoline place? Of course it is. But it's also the one-stop spot for all things fun. And if kicking back with the boys to watch the game is your jam, then you're in the right spot. Jump or not, Flo tends to all ages, meaning while you sit back and watch the game, but little Jimmy's having the time of his life perfecting that front flip he most definitely wants to show you. You got this, Jimmy. So next time you think Flo, think fun for everyone.
Mark and Henry McDaniel, attorneys at law, are proud alumni of Madison Academy, and Madison Academy is proud of them. They have served our community through their practice, through volunteerism and service on national, state, and local boards. They explain the complexity of critical court rulings on local media. Their successful practice has been built on integrity. Both are veterans of MA Athletics and proud sponsors of Mustang football. McDaniel and McDaniel, attorneys at law. No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by the lawyer.
Chapman Commercial Realty, your source for Alabama commercial real estate. Chapman Commercial Realty has the experience and expertise you're looking for when making commercial real estate decisions. If it's office space, retail space, investment property, or project development, Chapman Commercial Realty is your answer. Call Bill Chapman today at 256-656-8413. That's 256-656-8413. Or find them online at ChapmanCommercialRealty.com.
When I chose a garage door company, I did my homework. I needed Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. They have a 5-star Google rating. I checked the reviews and liked what their customers had to say. Precision Overhead Garage Door has lifetime warranty packages. Same-day service if I call before 2 p.m. If they can't make it the same day, my service call fee the next day is waived. They did a 25-point safety inspection on the door and operator. Now that's peace of mind. Residential, commercial, and gate services. Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. Call 256-400-4500.
The company is Eagle Masonry and Insulation, but did you know they're also Eagle Landscaping and Dirt Work? Eagle can take care of all your landscaping needs, including irrigation, sod work, and planting, both plants and trees. On the dirt work side, Eagle can grade and build your pads, haul dirt in or out, and even do erosion control. Philip Love and his team can do it all for you. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Your Rocket City Trash Fighters host the Birmingham Barons today at 6:20 on Talk Radio WZZN 97.7 HD2 and the Talk Radio WZZN app.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. This hour is brought to you by Woody Anderson Ford, Alabama's F-150 Superstore. Welcome to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, 256-576-4977.
That's how I roll. And I'm not going to drink and drive anymore.
That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Wes and Steve.
And away we go here on a
Tuesday. I don't hear myself, by the way. And there I am.
Rookie mistake. I'm sorry.
No. I don't know if I want to hear it. Maybe go back the other way. I'm kidding. I'm only kidding. Along with West Neighbors, Steve Moulton here with you. Walking up to Braves baseball as they continue their homestand. Bryce Elder is on the mound tonight. The Braves all going to hold our breath collectively. Your Olympic update out of the gate. How about Team USA men's basketball 5-on-5? No problems with Team Brazil, 122-87. So that means the men's basketball team will move on to take on Serbia on Thursday. Serbia got past Australia, 95-90. The other half of the semifinals is you got to be careful of them Germans. Germany down Greece, and they will take on France, the home country, as France downs Team Canada 82-73. So the quarterfinals are done, and what a lot of people believed what was the biggest competition for Team USA, Team Canada, doesn't even make it to the semifinals, and Team France moves on. West Neighbors, how are you, sir? That's how Wes is.
Coming up, get a hold of tech support.
Coming up on the program today, we will talk some Olympic basketball, not just 5-on-5, but 3-on-3 basketball as well with Richard Hendricks, the Limestone Sports Hall of Famer, is going to join us later on here in this first hour. So that is your Olympic update here for this Tuesday. A lot going on the college football realm, and heard from Brian Kelly today. Nothing earth-shattering there. And yes, the information overload continues in Tuscaloosa, as we heard from defensive players as well as the defensive coordinator in Tuscaloosa. Tomorrow, it's the offensive side that will take over. And it was who was featured today? It was Tim Keenan III was one of the featured players that spoke today. Here is a little bit of what the Alabama defensive lineman had to say.
I say he's, like he said, he's pretty steady. If you know about, a lot of people know Philippians 4:13, but Philippians 4:12 says, I know what it is to have plenty, but I know what it is to be in need. But I will be, I will be steady with the Lord pretty much. Can't get too high, can't get too low. I know what God got for me. So I feel like Coach DeBoer leans on that a lot. Of course, he wants us to celebrate when we have certain plays, but, want to know mindset. We won that play. All right, good. Let's win the next. So that's his mindset. And I appreciate him, instilling that in us.
So on the subject of defensive line play, Pete Jenkins is going to join us, and let's talk to Coach Jenkins right now out of the gate. How are you, Coach?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Well, when you hear a defensive lineman like that, it just to have that even keel. What's that say about at least what do you think of hearing a defensive lineman in that comment right there, Coach?
It's a little deep for me, to tell you the truth. But I know Tim very well, and have watched his progress, over the last few years. And he's such a good kid, man. He really is a good kid. And he's really done well, too. He brought him along pretty nice. And I think he's ready to have a really good year.
And leading into it, though, Coach, I'm hearing more and more about less and less contact. How can you get better without contact, Coach?
Well, there's just different schools of thought, as you know. I worked here for I worked here at LSU for a guy named Bill Arnsparger.
Yes, sir.
Who and I believe Wes was playing at that time too. When Bill was the head coach here, he had a real.
I was.
Yeah, he was.
Yes, I was.
He had a real extensive.
I'm doing great, Coach. How you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you, buddy. He had a real extensive career in pro football, and I remember, him coming here, and he gave them Monday off, and I remember thinking, "Oh man!" And then I was at a high school one day, and Pat Dye, who was an old friend of mine, Pat was the head coach at Auburn, and Pat said to me that day, he said, "Pete, how are you guys going to play in the Southeastern Conference and never tackle like you guys? I hear you never tackle." And it worried me because I was kind of that same school of thought. I thought I didn't. I said, "Well, Pat, I think we'll do okay." But anyways, we were fortunate enough that year. That was '88. That was the year we beat them 7-6 here in Tiger Stadium, and so Bill made me a believer, to be honest with you, in limited contact. I've done it both ways. I've been in it long enough to do it both ways. I remember my rookie year at the Eagles with Coach Reed, and we got back from training camp, and we never put the pads on again until Sunday. I mean, we never wore pads. I learned to coach hitting dummies and things like that because we never wore pads, and we played pretty dang good. His record ain't bad.
Yeah.
So, I just think there's more ways to skin a cat than one. And
Coach,
we just have to see.
Coach
how
Bryant,
that's gonna work out.
and Coach, in 1961, after the first game, Alabama never put the pads back on the rest of the year.
I remember that. Sure did. I remember hearing that. So, I've seen it done effectively both ways. I'm a guy that was, raised up. We got to get so much contact work during the course of a week and things like. We had a really good team here one year at LSU, and we had bad weather. We didn't have an indoor building. It was in the 80s. Must have been like 87, I think it was. We didn't lose but one game that year, and that was to Alabama. And we won the bowl game going away. I mean, and so what happened that year is it rained here so much. We drove to New Orleans and practiced at the Saints one time. We had a high school here, Episcopal High School, that had a field that was dry. We went out there and we all worried so much about not getting contact practices, not getting heat. And, we lost one game. And I thought the players were extremely fresh at the end of the season. We played South Carolina in a Gator Bowl. And, I mean, they were not in the conference at that time. And we had a great game against them and beat them handily and everything. I just don't know. I don't know if there's an answer to that, a yes or no. And then 61, Alabama's pretty damn good too. So, Coach Bryant knew a little something about what he was doing too. So I don't know. I just, those things just have to kind of see how it comes out in the wash. I'm sure there's teams that I don't know about that didn't hit and didn't have good seasons. I'm sure that happened some too, but we'll have to see. I was there in the spring for a week at Alabama, and people ask me how it was, without Coach Saban, and I have to be very careful. I say it was different. Now, different doesn't mean better, worse. It doesn't mean, different doesn't mean that. Wes, you'll appreciate this. All the guys that I work with, let's just say Brother Oliver, who was
right,
a well-known guy, and all the guys that I work with who played for Coach Bryant, would always say Coach Bryant would never do that, or there's things like that.
Yeah.
And I've tried to not be one of those guys like that toward Coach Saban. I could very easily say Coach Saban would never do that or whatever, but there's more ways. I guess I'm old enough and ugly enough, as my mom used to say, that I've seen it done both ways, and I
there's
think
more than one way to skin a cat. I will say this, though.
There is.
The two coaches that had the most success in Tuscaloosa were both taskmasters.
Yeah.
But they knew when to pull off of them, too.
That's true. And that's an art.
It is an art.
That's an art.
I personally don't know how anybody could get ready playing offensive lineman as a freshman unless you had a lot of contact, because you don't know what you don't know. And every game is going to be a little different because the guy playing in front of you is going to play a little different.
Yeah, that's true. I'm like you. I remember the shock I was in when we got back from training camp at Philadelphia. We couldn't play double teams at all. My guys were, people were kicking. They were rolling us out of there and everything, And I'm talking in staff meeting, about really needing to work doubles because you get a lot of that pro football out of the high backs.
Oh, yeah.
Stuff, your powers. And they said, well, now you're not going to have pads. And I said, what? They said, no, you're going to wear pads on Sunday. You ain't going to wear pads during the week. So, I had to find ways to work guys on those power blocks and everything because, I just had to learn to do it.
Well, how did you teach them? Teach them when they got double teamed? Hit the ground, make a ball?
No. I did that at one time, try to use up both blocks and all that stuff. And then when the offensive teams changed their method to a lot of combo rather than double.
Right.
You get it. They got one play in offense now, and they think it's something newly invented, but it's old as hell. They want to double and get the lineman in the track of the linebackers.
Right.
They call it duo or dual or whatever. But we changed it. We used to try to drag that guy down and make a pile and let the linebacker work off of it. But then, Wes, when they started doing a lot of combo, where one of them's going to leave you and climb and everything, we had to change the way we played it. So we try to split it and get in sumo position, and then if one leaves us, then now my guy's got to come back. He's got to come alive and help make the play, because we've really traded one for one if we don't. But combo off a double team changed the way that I taught it on defense.
So that's the way we did it. We'd combo block. Yeah. And so what that means to the listen audience, if you have a double team with your right guard, so you and guys, you're going off on the nose guard. Yeah. Your idea is to push him back a little bit, and then if the linebacker comes under, the center gets him.
And you read the
goes
linebacker
over.
Comes,
the guard gets him.
Yeah. And that's combo. That's double combo to me. But they used to be just double.
Yeah, they just knock the guy. Yeah.
Yeah, try to get you in the path of the linebacker like they do on duo now. That you're familiar with that duo play they run. They double the two tackles, and they try to get them in the path of the linebacker and all that stuff. It isn't anything new. That's the way we used to do it all the time. But when the offense, and that's what I've spent my whole life doing this, seeing how you guys do it and try to adjust us. We have to adjust to it, And so I remember when Bo was interviewing with Coach Saban one time, he said he was telling him how I taught him to play double. I taught Bo. And Coach Saban looked at him and he said, Bo, that's not the way Pete teaches it. And Bo called me and I said, Bo, I've evolved past that because the offensive has evolved past that. So, anyways, that's kind of, we just have to kind of evolve to what you guys are giving us,
So, when you were in Tuscaloosa, what was your impression? I mean, what I was impressed with, Pete, is I went to the first scrimmage, and the lack of penalties, the lack of fumbles, no turnovers. And there was not a turnover in that scrimmage. They're preaching the same things the other guys preach, just in a different manner.
Yeah, that's a good thing. That's always a really good thing. I got there. I was there. I got my calendar with me. I guess I was in April, and they were scrimmage. They had scrimmaged that Saturday. I got there on Sunday night and went to work Monday, and they had scrimmaged on Saturday. And we were looking at scrimmage, and it was their first, I think, 11 on 11, full go scrimmage. And it was ugly. It was ugly. But they got better. The week I was there, I could see, they were just getting into it, and it was new. Everything was new for the kids and all that stuff. So they were much happier at the end of the week than they were at the beginning of the week. And I can see the progress that they were making because they were having to change some, a little bit different thinking on defense than they have been with Coach Saban and everything. So that's, again, different. Doesn't mean worse or it doesn't mean better or anything else. It's just different,
Yeah, we're going to find out, Pete, what it means.
We are. And I don't want to define it. I know time will define it for me.
Exactly.
So, yeah. So, by the way, Wes, I have a pro defensive lineman camp in Dallas 3 weeks ago, and I'm telling you this because the guy that I hired to help me is Henry Thomas.
Really?
And he listen, Wes, he does such a good. It is just a crime that boy is not in coaching. But when he retired from pro football after 14 years, he had 3 children, and his wife left him with those children. Well, it's almost impossible to coach football and have 3 babies, at home.
No question.
So. Yeah. So he didn't go into coaching, and then as they got old enough, I tried to help him. He is a really, really talented teacher, and he gets along extremely well with the players and everything. So I have a high school camp in June, and he works that high school camp, and then I have that pro camp in July. It works out pretty good. We have 25 linemen. So that's too many for one guy to work with and get them the reps that they need and everything. So we two spot and swap them. I teach something, he teaches something, and then we swap them, and we have a plan for it, for the day. So, but I just thought about mentioning that to you. He's done extremely well, looks good.
Where does he live, Coach?
14 years. He came out of 14 years pretty unscathed.
That's amazing.
You know that he is credited with 1,006 tackles.
Wow.
In the National Football League and 93.5 sacks.
Wow. That is unbelievable.
Wow.
Yeah, and look, I know how you young guys are. Fact check me on that now, okay? Because I go places, it's really funny.
I'm taking a look at the Pro Football Focus numbers right now, Coach. You're spot on. 1,006 tackles, 93.5 sacks, 1 safety as well, and 4 interceptions.
Yeah, touchdown. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So, Coach, where does he live?
He lives in Houston.
Okay.
He lives in Houston.
Yeah. He's doing really well, though. He's one of my all-time favorite guys.
Well, he was a great player, and it made an imprint. That was for sure.
Coach, I did have I'm sorry, Coach. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, no, I'm sorry. He had a really great college career. I mean, pro career. He was up last year for the Hall of Fame. He didn't get it, but he was in the balloting for the Hall of Fame. So I'm hoping sometimes
there's two players, maybe three, that I played against in college that are in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Really?
Reggie White.
Reggie's definitely on,
And Michael Carter.
Biscuit.
Well, I didn't play. I played in practice.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. But it's Michael Carter was amazing, but there's nobody to me was Reggie White was the best by far. Of course, I was a freshman then too. So but
he was pretty good.
Yeah, he
wasn't bad.
No,
so
you're at center. The nose guard shaded away. He slants away on a sweep to the right. He slants left. I go get the linebacker.
Yeah.
I look behind me. Reggie White made the tackle on the sweep.
Yeah, he wheeled and come back down the line of scrimmage, huh?
Yeah, Reggie White ran a 4.5 something.
Jeez. Yeah.
He was faster than our backs.
He wasn't bad. I tell you a funny story. We played Tennessee up there, and I had a kid from New Orleans that was a backup that was having to start that ball game, and we played Tennessee in Knoxville. And this kid that I had recruited the kid. He was very smart, and he was a good technician. He lacked athletic ability. He was built terrible. He didn't look very good, but he was an effective player, and he was a real effective backup. I mean, that's really he probably should have never started for us, but he was kind of forced into it that game that night, and it was that back then. You got that one game Chevrolet game of the week and all that stuff. Well, as time went on, he got the Chevrolet Player of the Game. My guy did. And as time went on, I realized that on the other side over there, they had a defensive tackle named Reggie White. I laugh about it today, even. That guy won the gnat on Reggie's butt, and he had a hell of a game. He won the damn Chevrolet Award in that ball game.
That is great.
Yeah, Reggie was really he was really a great player. When we clubbed somebody, I call it a club. It was his famous hump.
Yeah, hump move.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I tell people when we use it, I don't. That's not no hump. It wasn't but one guy could hump. That was Reggie. Reggie. That was a different move for him than any other.
Yeah, because he wouldn't club. He'd grab you under the arm and just lift you up like a sack of manure.
Yeah.
And just kind of throw you away.
Right there.
But how about my guy winning the Chevrolet Award in that game?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I would have never believed it. I would have bet everything I owned.
Well, Coach, I did have a question for you. Now that it looks like
yes, sir.
rosters are going to expand to 105 scholarships rather than 85, what would be your best advice to any coach out there in terms of how to beef up the lines from a scholarship perspective and because there's a potential of 17 games now for any given team for this year moving forward, Coach?
I'm so against that too. I really am. I know the fans. It's great for the fans and all, but I just coached too many guys that were beat to a damn pulp after 12 or 13 games. I really. Now the only good I remember when we went to 12 games, the coaches wanted 10 more scholarships and everything, which only seemed fair, but they didn't. The NCAA didn't allow that. We moved the games up. We expected more out of fewer guys. Is what we did, which never has set well with me, to be honest with you. I feel like sometimes we ask too much of them, to be honest with you. But I'm so happy they're going to add those scholarships, and that'll help. That'll help offset the length of the season like it is. But, if you're playing 17 games, you can't work like you'd like to work. That was one of the things that Coach Saban did such a good job with is, Alabama was always going to play a long season. And he was, I saw him change between working for him here in 2000 and then being at Alabama with him. He made some really good adjustments that were things that nobody saw. Just I'm talking about the practice organization, and then the mode of practice. He really made some extreme changes. Coach Saban last year was 23, I guess. Yeah, it was 23. I was there in the spring with him, and then me and Derek Dooley, who was a analyst on the staff at that time, we talked about Coach Saban in 2000 and Coach Saban in spring of 2023. Guys, y'all can't believe. I mean, he was always great. He was the best one I've ever worked for in my whole life. I purely love the guy, to be honest with you. But let me tell you, that watching the changes over those 24 years that I fooled with him, it was just amazing how he grew as a coach. And I think that's what you need to do in your profession. You need to get a little bit better every year. And he certainly did that, guys. I want to tell you, he was a different man on the job in 2024 than he was in 2000 when I first met him or first went to work with him.
What would you say he changed the most, Coach? How did he change the most in your eyes?
He changed a lot of things. I just talked about practice and the things he asked of the players. I think he understood that the season was going to be long, and I think he backed off of some things. I tell you this, and I don't mean this ugly, but he was difficult to work for in 2000. and
I think
I'm shocked, Coach. I'm shocked.
You could find a couple people I would think would agree that in 2024, but I'm just guessing.
Yeah. Well, the guys over at Alabama, I would tell them, when I'd go over there, I was there usually 2 times, maybe 3 times a year. He'd have me over there after I got done with pro football and everything. But I would tell them, he has really mellowed, and they'd say, mellow? I'd say, no, wait a minute. I didn't say mellow. Hell, he ain't mellow.
He's mellow.
He's mellow. Me and Dooley used to laugh all the time. I mean, they got no idea what he was like in 2000. None. Because he was so, here's the thing. His desire to win, his drive never changed. It never changed. But the way he went about things, I think about 2011, I'd just gotten out of pro football, and I was over there, and we were sitting in a meeting, and something happened. We were watching film. Something happened, and I thought, oh, somebody's supposed to get that ass chewed. And he said, now, what are we telling him? And I kind of slapped myself. I thought, where am I? This can't be Coach Saban. This can't be Coach Saban. But he made so many adjustments in the way he did things. And the smartest thing I ever saw, though, no, I don't know. There's a bunch of smart things I observed, but let me tell you, the day that they closed spring ball down, it was on a Friday of 2019. I've never seen, I was in the meeting. I was talking to him Thursday night, and he said, there's some things going on out there. I'm not sure about, because we're supposed to practice Friday. And he said, I'm not sure about where we're going forward. Well, I never heard of COVID-19 or, I mean, it was just beginning.
Yeah.
I think it was on around the 13th of March. And so the next morning at 7:30, he walked in that meeting. He had that yellow pad. And I'm telling you guys, he had a plan that was unbelievable. I used to ask him, I said, Coach, did you know that Thursday night and just didn't tell me? Or did you go home and work all night on that damn plan? And he would never answer that question. Just look at me and kind of give me a little smile, But see, I called him. I called him after the Ohio State game and that undefeated 2019 season.
I wasn't even
called
close. Him.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that season, I called him and I said, I think this season, which was, I don't know if I've ever seen a finer season for a football team. Who in the hell can win 11 SEC games, first of all?
Yeah.
And then destroy Ohio State in the championship game and all that. But I told him, I said, I really think that season and that game and that season was set up by how great you handled that thing on that Friday. He had Jeff had contacted several parents, and because kids were going on spring break after that Friday practice, and there was a couple of them going to California and all this stuff, and he didn't want them to go there, and he had Jeff Allen handled all that, and the video people had everything set up to where they could Zoom, and I mean he was months ahead of a lot of people. I had buddies in the SEC that were working, and they would call me and say, guess what we did today? And they would tell me, and they would be feeling pretty good about it, And I never said it to them, but I thought, I'd think to myself, that's great. Coach Saban started that a month ago. He had those strength coaches. Yeah, they had the watches where they could log
the Apple
in.
Watch.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And he had and the big guy had the strength workouts. I forget if they were taping them but it was so organized. I've told him on several occasions, I wouldn't take anything in the world for having been in that meeting and seen that meeting unfold. It was the dangest thing I ever seen in my life. He's just, guys, phenomenal.
He's one step ahead of everybody, or two steps ahead.
Everybody. He really is. And that's not the only thing. There's a lot of things that I think Coach Saban got credit for. There's a lot of things that he did that I don't think, because I think we got used to him doing the things right. But the onside kick against Clemson up there, you remember in the playoffs?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Nobody ever talks about that. But it won the championship. It turned that game around. Is what it did.
So Coach, my son was on that staff. So after the game, I asked him. He said, "I said, well, that must have worked every time in practice for him to call that." He said, "Dad, it never worked once." He said it would almost work. We'd almost catch it. It would almost kick it there. He said, "I can't believe we ran it."
Yeah, he was, and they did an article. I don't know if you guys ever saw it. They did an article in Sports Illustrated about Coach Saban and my relationship and everything. It's Ross Dellinger wrote it.
Oh yeah, we know Ross. Yeah.
He wrote it. It was it was a good story. It was football, but it was about Coach Saban's secret weapon, and they called me the Wolf, or that's what Ross. And it was a takeoff on Pulp Fiction.
Okay.
Do y'all remember Mr.
Oh yeah.
Mr. Wolf?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Mr. Wolf. He was the fixer. He was the
guy he's the guy to show up. That's right.
To get rid of the bodies.
Get rid of the bodies.
Yeah. So, anyways, but it's a really good article. Everybody that I've ever talked to enjoyed it. You can look, and you can look it up too. It's really good. But I said in that article, I said, see, I didn't want to do it because I know Coach Saban's not a relationship guy. I mean, he treats everybody the damn same. And that's the way he does business. And so when he called me, he said, I want to come down and spend time with you. I want to do this article and whatever. And I said, look, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do it. I don't want to put Coach Saban in that position. And I'm certainly not asking him, to do it. He said, well, he's already given me an hour to work on his side of it. And I said, what? Yeah, I couldn't believe it. But anyways, he did it. And I said a couple of things that, when you read things, you think, I'm glad I said that. And I have had the experience of reading them and thinking, damn, why did I say that? But, I said, if Coach Saban were the head of Ford Motor Company, they got a good product, but they would have a better product.
That makes sense.
Well,
and if he was president of the United States, be a better country. I just tell you, be a better country.
Coach, I cannot tell you. I thank you so much for the time you've given us. We love talking with you, Coach.
Well, thank you. I enjoy it too, and I appreciate you calling me.
That is Coach Pete Jenkins, kind enough to join us.
Great hearing from you. Tell Henry Thomas I said hello.
Let's take a time out. We'll change from the gridiron to the basketball court. A Hall of Famer as well, Richard Hendricks, joins us next.
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This summer, make it a Woody Anderson Ford. Make it 0% financing, make it no down payment, and make no payments for 90 days. Hey folks, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford. It's our Ford summer sales event, and I promise you can save serious dollars on a large selection of our 2024 Fords. We've got financing as low as 0% for 36 months on 2024 F-150, Explorer, Expedition, Edge, Escape, plus all-electric F-150 Lightning and Mustang Mach-E. And on all these Fords I just mentioned, you'll make no down payment and no payments for 90 days. Can you say Orange Beach, here we come? This is going to be a good summer. Come choose from over 550 new Fords, and you'll learn firsthand that nobody will work harder to earn your business. Brand new award-winning Fords with 0% financing, no down payment, and no payment for 90 days with your good credit. This offer ends 9/3/24. Come see us today and make it a Woody Anderson Ford. Hope to see you soon.
Eagle Masonry and Insulation. It's right there in the name. Eagle is your one-stop shop for block, stone, or brickwork, monument signs, and outdoor kitchens and fireplaces. Eagle also offers the finest craftsmanship and insulation, including fiberglass or spray foam insulation, and of course, insulation removal. Philip Love and his team have years of experience, bringing the region the best in masonry and insulation services. For more information and a quote, visit insulatewitheagle.com or call 256-755-1556. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
Are you tired of power outages disrupting your life? It's time for a Generac standby generator from Current Electrical. Storms may rage outside, but inside your family's powered up. So why choose Current Electrical for your generator needs? 1, we offer a wide range of models to suit every budgeted energy requirement. 2, our project managers handle every step of the process: power, gas, permitting, and inspections. 3, our certified technicians install your generator with precision, ensuring peace of mind. Don't wait for the next blackout. Call 256-880-1880 or visit us online at jetsuperstore.com.
You don't have to go somewhere else just so you can go somewhere new. Plan your next vacation with Huntsville International Airport and Breeze Airways. Enjoy friendly, convenient, nonstop travel to some of the most exciting destinations in the U.S., including the home of 12 world-famous theme parks, Orlando, Florida. With flights starting as low as just $49, Breeze has got you covered with easy, breezy, nonstop flights to Orlando. Make all their dreams come true. Book nonstop to Orlando now at flybreeze.com.
Chapman Commercial Realty, your source for Alabama commercial real estate. Chapman Commercial Realty has the experience and expertise you're looking for when making commercial real estate decisions. If it's office space, retail space, investment property, or project development, Chapman Commercial Realty is your answer. Call Bill Chapman today at 256-656-8413. That's 256-656-8413. Or find them online at chapmancommercialrealty.com.
Looking for your next adventure to be out of this world but don't have enough money to buy a spaceship and leave orbit? Well, look no further than Divergence VR theme park off of Governor's Drive Southwest in Huntsville, Alabama. Are zombies more your style? How about driving your favorite cars on the world's fastest track? Or maybe a gorilla game that has you climbing up tall trees to escape other gorillas? Wait, that's actually a thing? Huh. Would you look at that? For whatever adventure you can dream of, call 256-203-4128 to get your VR adventure started now.
This segment of The Drive is brought to you by Woody Anderson Ford, located online at woodyAndersonFord.com with 2 locations, Hughes Road in Madison and Jordan Lane in Huntsville.
Well, we started the show talking a little hoops. Team USA, no problem with Brazil. They are now into the Final Four. Going to talk a little more Final Four as, indeed, the Olympics are down to the Final Four. With the Hall of Famer, part of the Crimson Tide Sports Network, he is Richard Hendricks, who's kind enough to join us. How are you, sir?
Doing great, guys. Thank y'all for having me.
Absolutely. It's always, when I watch Olympic basketball, it does kind of remind me of previous conversations that we have had, seeing balls getting swatted off the rim and that kind of thing. It does have that international flavor.
Well, it's been great. It's really good tournament to watch. Obviously, Team USA has been rolling. They just have the talent and the ability, but I don't know if people were able to see that quarterfinal game with Serbia and Australia that went into overtime. You talk about spiking one off of the rim. Yeah. I mean, Nikola Jokic made a play of the game, in my opinion, with a defensive stance. Patty Mills had him beat, had an easy layup. The ball hung on the rim just for a second. He was able to spike it out. That was a critical stop that he made, as well as another steal that he made in transition. So you talk about the 3-time MVP making big plays in the big moments on the biggest stage. I mean, this really shows this is the Olympic Games, and people put it all out there on the line for their home country.
Well, and on the home country is moved on, and there was a lot of talk about Team Canada being the biggest obstacle for a gold medal for Team USA. How big of an upset do you think that is, that Team France down Team Canada?
Well, anytime you're in tournament play, everything is always going to boil down to matchups. And if you look at the France team with the length and the size they have with Rudy Gobert and Wemby on the interior, this Canadian team is kind of made up to play isolation basketball with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and crew being able to take you on the outside, beat you off the dribble, and get into the paint. They don't have the shooting prowess that they needed, and France was able to smother them to have what they did, to have their big men be able to stay close to the paint and contest shots. So, I mean, it played right into the hands of matchups. France has been fortunate throughout this entire tournament. They had a really close win in overtime against Japan that was very controversial. A missed foul call that, to me, looked like was a clear no foul, but France was awarded with a 4-point play, put them in good position to have this. So if you look at this, a lot of people might be thinking a little bit of home cooking for the home team, but nonetheless, the Final Four teams, France getting it done against a very NBA talent roster of Canada. It should be a lot of fun as we move forward in the semis.
What do you think of the matchup of USA and Serbia? What do you think of that matchup?
Well, I think Serbia does play a really good brand of ball, and they definitely have the talent. They have Jokic and what he's able to do. But this tournament is clearly going to be Team USA's to lose. They haven't had any problem with any team. As today, they were able to steamroll Brazil. Brazil was able to cut it to 11 at one point with about under 5 to go in the second quarter today. Yeah. But the firepower that they have, Kevin Durant's playing big-time basketball. Devin Booker earlier in this game with 18 points. Anthony Edwards, when he comes off the bench and his attitude to want to be a scorer is something that teams just can't match up to. So I look to see Team USA pick up the defensive effort and try to overpower Serbia. I do think that Serbia should have a little bit of resistance. If they're smart, they'll try to slow down the possessions of the game, limit the turnovers that don't give to the easy leak-out buckets that Team USA has been able to do. And if they can do that and keep the game close going into the fourth quarter, then they might can get a ball bounced their way. But that's easier said than done. I would anticipate another blowout performance by Team USA.
Hard not to be thoroughly impressed with Kevin Durant, and I've been thoroughly impressed with Kevin Durant for many years on the NBA level. But every single time I watch Olympic play, and he's in Olympic play, he might be the best Olympic basketball player I've seen. The way he anticipates, the way he moves. Is that fair to say?
Well, yeah, it's been a lot of fun for me to watch too. I've been watching all these games alongside some partners with Swiss Cultures and the Role Player Podcast, as we've been watching the games as a watch along and kind of analyzing it on a live stream. So it's been a lot of fun to see Kevin Durant do his thing. But if you know anything about the international game, he is the prototypical international player and the international power forward. And as well as the other guy that he recently passed in scoring with Carmelo Anthony. Those two type players are what you're looking at for an international four-man, a player that has a lot of length, that can play in the interior on the post-up and score around the basket. He can rebound, he can handle the ball, and he can shoot threes. You have a mismatch in every position, and that's a critical spot in the international game because you have a different set of rules in the NBA. Yeah. You can have big men stay in the paint. They don't have the defensive 3-second call. And all of that kind of stuff means that you have to have an inside player who can space the court. And Kevin Durant is the perfect matchup in international play against anyone. And no longer, that shows exactly why he was able to surpass the all-time Olympic scoring record on the men and women's side, surpassing Lisa Leslie today. He's just an incredible player. And to me, to be able to do it for so long, he and LeBron, these guys they're my age, and I've been done playing for a couple of years now. It's so impressive to still see them do it at a high level. I got to be rooting for the old guys, so it's really fun to watch.
Then let's move over to 3-on-3. Did you play 3-on-3 at any level? Other than maybe a pickup game here and there?
I never played in any sanctioned leagues. 3-on-3 was actually a game that was kind of always something that kind of fit my my skill set. At the same time, I also considered playing in that big three when I kind of retired. To can keep going, but it was just something I just didn't end up pursuing at the end of the day. But I was able to watch it. Team USA on the men's side struggled from the gate. This is not something that people are following the 3x3. You don't see the caliber of players that we normally put out on the basketball side. Obviously, you have Jimmer Fredette, who was a really good college player at BYU, played a short amount of time with Sacramento and in the NBA. Didn't have the NBA career that he'd like, but he does put up big numbers in his overseas basketball, particularly in China. But the roster was not put together, in my opinion, with the best talented players and to get it done on the men's side. And you have to have that with versatile players. Once again, it's the Kevin Durant type guys, the Carmelo, the guys who can guard their own players on an island, can switch all three positions, that can rebound and can shoot from the outside and score in an isolation situation. So it's so many things that you have to have in that skill set. And I'm not so sure if they put the best team forward. But on the women's side, to be able to see them battle, I thought it was a controversial call against Spain on the baseline. I don't think De'Erica Hamby fouled the Spanish shooter to end that game in the extra point to close it out. But nonetheless, they wanted to bounce back, get it done in the bronze medal game, and at least bring home a medal for Team USA on the 3-on-3.
It feels like almost a completely different game, despite the fact that it's still the same regulation basketball, same half court, if you will. But it does feel a lot different watching 3-on-3 compared to 5-on-5, Richard.
Now, I will tell you, the 3-on-3 basketball might be slightly smaller. It might be a slightly smaller basketball. There are some things that are a little bit different when you talk about the 3-on-3 ball. It also has some different grooves in it that changes a little bit of the ball size on the men's side. So it is a little bit different when you're talking about that. But at the end of the day, when you're United States, you expect to win and dominate in basketball. And it doesn't matter if it's 3-on-3, 5-on-5, 1-on-1. If we got an opportunity with our talent pool to put a team out there that can win, I think all of the fans expect that. So it's a little bit of a disappointment that for people who follow basketball to watch the 3-on-3 and not really recognize the people who are representing the country, and then they don't get it done, I think they have to go back to the drawing board when it comes to making their selections on the team to represent Team USA.
The take of before the Olympics games started that this was the most talented Team USA, even back to the Dream Team. I'm sure you probably heard that, Richard. Did you have a thought on that, on the talent level on this 5-on-5 team?
I mean, I can easily see that. I mean, obviously it's hard for nostalgic reasons to pick against Michael Jordan. You know, anytime he's a part of a roster, I think most people that remember those times are going to say, no way. I mean, that team had all of the best players at the time, and the margin in which they beat people was just so impressive. But I do think on that team, if you go back and you're honest with yourself, Magic Johnson was on his last leg. So was Larry Bird. Yeah. They were not the players that they were in the 80s. And the talent discrepancy between USA and the rest of the world was far, far larger of a gap than it is today. So if you look at this Team USA team and the way and the margins in which they've been beating people in this tournament, you look at the bevy of all-stars and Hall of Fame players, headlined with LeBron James, and then Steph Curry, the best shooter of all time, and Kevin Durant. You go all the way down to what might people believe is the 12th man is Jason Tatum, you know, who's the first team All-NBA guy, just winning a championship with the Boston Celtics. It's something that really makes you say that this team really is a little bit more talented than that 92 team. But for me, watching them close up and really look at it, the most impressive thing that I've seen is the guys buying into their roles, because it's a very hard switch to make when you talk about being the man on your team and you're not the guy that has to do all of the defensive dirty work. But to see Team USA doing a really good job of sharing the ball offensively and defensively, trying to sit down and guard their man in a team construct. So that's the thing that I think you have to give Steve Kerr and his staff a lot of credit to be able to get it done on short notice. And considering how close those friendly matches were, they almost dropped one to Sudan. They almost dropped one to Canada and Australia. For them to rebound and really turn it up in the tournament has been impressive. But they got two more that they got to get done to come home with a medal.
On the subject of talent, there's quite a bit of there in Tuscaloosa. In fact, Wes and I were in Destin, and it was the day that Mark Sears announced that he was coming back. And there was just this smile on Coach Oates' face the entire day. And now we know why, but the amount of talent coming back after this Final Four run, there is a lot of expectations for this basketball team this year in T-Town.
Absolutely. I mean, the list goes on and on. This is a team that definitely reloaded on a team that goes to the Final Four. I think the biggest challenge will be for Nate Oates and his staff is how do you make sure that everyone, you know, can play within the structure and also make sure that handles the individual things that they want to achieve. I mean, a lot of times people say where you want to be is where expectations are high. And I do agree with that from a competitive standpoint. But when you have to be the person that makes the decision on who gets the ball and who's going to be the man, that's a very challenging thing to do when you have a roster that can go 9 and 10 deep and players who want to play. And in an era where there's a lot of player agency with the transfer portal and name, image, and likeness, and people just having their own personal brands, it's going to be a challenge. But I'm looking forward to see how they can manage it, because they have the roster that can get back to the Final Four, get back to winning the SEC, and winning the whole thing.
I mean, just saying that out loud.
I'm sitting here and I was interested. I've been listening to all the Olympic talk, but that's what I want to hear. Richard.
Yes.
You really think this team, that they have the players, will this team be better than last year's team?
I think it's hard to say. I think you have to look at chemistry. I mean, I think it's going to be something where last year's team was competitive the entire season and comes down to the wire of having an opportunity to win the SEC against Tennessee in the last few games of the season. But at the same time, you knew last season that Mark Sears was the man. You knew that he had to get his shots. You knew that he needed to be able to try to lead the team. Grant Nelson was kind of a glue guy. There were high expectations for him to be the man on that team, but he turned into a glue guy that really helped that team to be the best they could be. And you surround them with shooters that they had and defenders like Latrell Reitzel playing tough, sticky defense and shooting from the outside, as well as many other players. Nick Pringle being a roll and a dirty work man. Now you're going to talk about how can Mark Sears go with LeBaron Fallon? How can he play with Aiden Holloway coming over from Auburn, who was a McDonald's All-American, has high expectations? How does he play with Chris Youngblood, a player who's really talented from Tuscaloosa, who was a great player at South Florida, who I've been able to see up close and personal? And Jaron Stevenson, top player in his class that reclassified. As a sophomore, he's going to be hungry to try to establish himself as one of the better players on the roster, as well as the two McDonald's All-Americans that are coming in, Darion Reed and Aiden Sherrill. So, I mean, the roster is so deep. You're going to have to see what it's like in the season and give it time for them to figure out the chemistry, because sometimes in basketball, less can mean more. So it's going to be a challenge to see how Alabama can manage all of the reps, all of the balls, making sure everyone has the usage that they can with these ball-heavy, dominant guards, and see what they can do. Now, the benefit that Nate Oates has on his side is he plays up tempo. He gets a few more possessions than others. So it's going to be important to see how they can figure it out. It'll be fun to watch.
Richard, I can't thank you enough for hopping on, talking some hoops with us. I know things are starting to change when I've got a legitimate reason to talk hoops with you in August. I love it. I love it.
Let me tell you, you can talk hoops with me anytime. Ball never stops.
There you go.
Oh, you're the best. He is the Hall of Famer, Richard Hendricks. Thank you, sir.
Having me.
That is Richard Hendricks. Of course, you can hear him on the Crimson Tide Sports Network as well. I did also another sign of football season coming up, Wes, is next Tuesday is the first Hard Knocks, and Coach Eberflus had a pep talk in his office, and it was delivered by Nick Saban.
Fail at such a dramatic rate. To me, expectations are a killer. This kid's got so much media, so much hype, so much expectation on doing well. And he has to develop so quickly to meet the expectations that everybody has for him. It's almost impossible. The expectations are a killer, but yet, to use your word, development is the key for him. Like Peyton Manning threw 28 interceptions when he was a rookie. It's the most in the history of all.
Manning looks to throw, tipped and intercepted.
What's up, Lord?
Put the nail on it.
But it didn't affect him. It's like the scoreboard. The scoreboard don't mean anything until the game's over.
There was a little bit of a pause right there, an edit, if you will, that we will all get to hear next Tuesday night in the unveiling of Hard Knocks.
That is the truth, though. That's what I've always said. I mean, Julio Jones set the record at Alabama receiving yards. Yet you would have some people think that, they were just like, there was unrealistic expectations from him, right?
Yeah.
We look back at now, he's a great player. But a lot of people thought at that time he was kind of a disappointment. So the expectations are nuts for these players to come in, and it's just about the quarterback.
We will talk to you tomorrow right here on The Drive.
Looking for your next adventure to be out of this world but don't have enough money to buy a spaceship and leave orbit? Well, look no further than Divergence VR theme park off of Governor's Drive Southwest in Huntsville, Alabama. Are zombies more your style? How about driving your favorite cars on the world's fastest track? Or maybe a gorilla game that has you climbing up tall trees to escape other gorillas? Wait, that's actually a thing? Huh. Would you look at that? For whatever adventure you can dream of, call 256-203-4128 to get your VR adventure started now.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
headed to the semis, blowing out Brazil 122-87. Devin Booker had a team-high 18. Joel Embiid and LeBron, other starters in double figures in the victory. Anthony Edwards had 17 off the bench. Americans advance to play Serbia on Thursday in the semifinal, looking for their 5th straight gold medal. U.S. women's soccer